Hey, Dave Campbell here. This is Dismantling the Oligarchs Part 2. So, I was thinking about strategies that may work for dismantling oligarchs, okay? And what I'm coming up with is because these people have so much power and so much leverage now with what used to be institutions that were just and uh, governments that prized justice and peace over criminal activity. And let's say that the United States is still holding on to that ladder. We love our justice, we love peace, but it's going to take a lot of courage and a lot of bravery to, you know, strategize, point out, differentiate, identify, call out, and follow up on these oligarchs and their colluding uh, and very problematic corporations, multinationals, banks, anybody who's partaking in this, it's time to call them out. So that's going to cause quite an upheaval if it's not done with our thinking caps on. So strategy is everything. Um, it's going to require building up, number one, the identity, the actual case. Who can we identify? Who can we identify? First of all, there is a kleptocracy. Second of all, who can we identify who's participating in it? Thirdly, what are all of the different impacts that it's having in society, not just in the United States? Um, and let's dive into impacts because there are people who are losing their lives, their homes, their jobs, and um, as a human interest, that's happening. Okay, and then as a legal interest, you have a lot of criminal activity that's supporting kleptocracy. You have a lot of people either from directly from thugs or under the table from corporations who are operating and doing things under the table, underhanded, supplying intel, moving money, um, defining strategy, um, conditioning the environment. So there's a myriad of people that are doing these things. Some are naive. Okay. Oh, I got a great job, honey. I got a great job. They're paying me $120,000 to do whatever it is they're doing, and it's kind of funny. I've never heard of this type of job before, but it pays really well. Well, you're probably involved in some kind of illegal and criminal action. Okay, so just I don't want to burst your bubble, but I got to burst your bubble. So number one, define, you know, call it like it is, like Tom Burgess has done. There's a kleptocracy. Number two, defining who's what are the aspects of it? Who are the biggest? Who can we identify? And then the players that are involved. That's not enough, folks. We also have to stir up the courage and the bravery of the people. For number one, the people who shouldn't have let this happen, and the offices and the governance, uh, our iconic justice system, okay, which is globally recognized, and our commerce. We've got to grab hold of the remnants of authority that we still have in those people who truly value justice, and they're there. There's a ton of people. A lot of people I'm talking to the majority of United States citizens and middle managers, people who make, anywhere from 50 to 70, $80,000 on up a year, whether they work in state government, local government, or in a commercial entity, and they're making good money. We have got to get these folks who have a heart for the United States we've got to give them the tools and the wherewithal to reintroduce best practices into their workplace. Best practices, just practices, ethical practices, and help with the identification of practices that are lending to our destruction. So, it's you identify the problem and the problem causers. Then you identify the societal mix where these impacts these illegal activities are having their impacts. Then you have to start to implement your program. You identify the good guys, the bad guys, and then you implement your strategy. So that's where I'm going now. Your strategy, my strategy, our strategy has to be identifying ourselves as superpower. So we're not a nation of criminals. We are a nation of superpower. So that's why you're gonna continually see superpower being used in my videos, because you got to win hearts and minds. Hearts and minds. Our identity together is superpower. So you got to figure out what are the elements of identity that created the superpower. Well, ethics, hard work, intelligence, business structures, justice structures, all of governance structures, everything, academia, all of those things. And we have to give those a very close focus, because these are the elements of getting the superpower back to its proper function. That's the mechanisms that we're going to use. Those strategies are going to have applications, and the same good guys that are recognizing how bad it's getting are going to be given the tools and the strategies and the authority, right, through the identity of superpower to act. So now, what am I doing? Okay, who's Dave Campbell? He's kind of a crazy guy. He thinks he's going to be president or governor. I do, and I know why. I know why I can do this is because truth has a ring to it. Truth has a ring to it. Authority has a ring to it. Strategy has a ring to it. Sense, good sense. We cannot continue to follow these outcomes of the kleptocrats, because our country we're under the abuse of all of our prized systems and prized disciplines, because bad guys have learned how to use those systems and offices and infiltrated them and kind of pushed aside our best practices and put in and implemented their evil practices for the purpose of ill-gotten gain, making more money than they should have. That's theft. And then they hide the theft. They're tax evaders. They're colluders. They're all of the baddest of the bad white-collar criminals. Now, so my strategies are as follows. Very, very easy to figure out why I chose these three strategies. I'm an intellect, okay? And I figured out that knowledge and its application, right, is how we access resources. Who's the source of knowledge? People are. So what is the most valuable resource? People. Outcomes of upholding people in high regard are societal growth. So societal growth is the outcome of 3 of the applications of knowledge. And I make this case in my regeneration model. Knowledge is used in commercial. That's the widest spread way we use knowledge. We also use knowledge for governance, which is a regulatory way, so we do not have unfair practices, and we can continue to nurture all the people fairly in a just society. And then we have academia, which is where we identified our prize disciplines. And academia, none of this stuff I'm creating, guys, it's all been done before. I'm just synthesizing it and posturing it in a manner that it cannot be argued. It's so airtight, it's so watertight, but it flows real well, and it's going to blow you away, especially the bad guys. So I'm coming at you with discipline, knowledge, and no money. I have been broke for the longest time. That sounds terrible. I actually, my last job, I worked for as an insurance adjuster for a third-party administrator. I talk about that in one of my Funkle Speaks videos. But anyway, I've made good money. I've made 6 figures. I've got 2 master's degrees, blah, blah, blah. I've told you all this stuff before. But what I'm going to do and why I can do this, now this is where we're coming back to me. I'm going to run as a gubernatorial candidate if I get a nomination. And if we can hold out against hope that people still can hear the ring of truth, then I believe that I can do this. If people want to attain their superpower back, they're going to be able to see through the strategies of the kleptocrats and how they've used psyops and evil words to stir up trouble, just like you would if you were a military and going in and taking over a country. You would use psychological operations to condition the environment so that people would behave in a certain way so you can go over and mow them down. And that's exactly what's been happening in our country. So I believe that through my 3-tiered strategy, which comes down to the cash initiative, the Mike model, and the regeneration model, which is going to posture knowledge in all its 3 main forms and applications and reinforce it through actions in the public, at the community level. That's the recipe for regenerating the society, getting our superpower back. And so there you go. I just summarized for you, in 13 minutes now, how we're going to win back the United States and how I just may end up being your president in 2024. So spread the word, quit thinking, oh, Dave doesn't even comb his hair. I'm trying to tell you guys, it's the common person. Okay, I'm a common person. I have some uncommon abilities. I admit it. It's not everybody who studies their Bible and has 2 master's degrees and made 6 figures before they even went to college and got their degree. So I've had a lot of really unique experiences, and yeah, I'm a Navy diver. Maybe I stayed underwater too long. Okay, maybe I have a bubble on my brain. I also have a sense of humor. I love people, and I respect everybody. And I'm even giving the bad guys a chance to pull their heads out of their butts. Okay, I'm talking about senators, our commerce leaders, and I'm even talking about the very, very, very bad guys who have gotten their intel and now they work for some offshore company using PR and intel and all those strategies against our people. That is my main target. That's public enemy number 1. A company like Arcanum is public enemy number 1. Okay? And I identified them. Okay? Everybody's got to come on board, and we got to do this together, guys. We got to identify the bad guys, take them out by building a new stock exchange, new banking, integration of our best practices, societal buildup from the community level, and pushing out the bad and bringing in the strength through good programs, best business practices. That's how we get our superpower back. Build our tax base up, take out these tax evaders, and pretty soon we'll be building bridges, railroads, corporations. We're going to bring the lifestyle of the American people back up to where it should be, reducing the hours that they work, and all that kind of stuff. It's all coming back, and it's depending on you using your head. And I'm here to help you. My number is 231-360-8704. Right now, I'm looking for some website administration help, and I got to put those 3 websites up. So there you go. Help me, and come alongside. Thank you. Have a good day.